Hi guys, so welcome back to our introduction to data analysis with Python. In the last video, we looked at the data affairs dataset, which we have converted to a data frame. And of course, a data frame is a two-dimensional tabular structure. You can see that over here. Initially, we had a problem with one of the columns, and we see it was unnamed, and so we went ahead to change it to reflect ID. Now, we didn't just do that. We actually went to the data description link where we tried to make sense of what the data is about. And then we followed this link over here that took us over here. Then we were able to look at this table right here, and then we figured that it's the ID column. You can see that. So we have now worked on this. So if we look over here, we're going to look at the series here. So we have data affairs 1, then we do something called an index. So when we index, we basically are going to just reach out to one of the columns. And so initially we called this is a data frame, but this here is a series. Series just one dimension. So now we could use the head function. Now the head function basically shows the first 5 rows. I'll document it here. So this is the first 5 rows / observations, right? And then we'll have a sense, we'll get a sense of what's in this area. So we can see their numbers, and so we're wondering, what does this mean? But for now, we could just simply ignore this series and then move on to the next column, which has affairs. Now, anytime you get a data set, sometimes it could have an accompanying data description file, so it's ideal to look at it. Sometimes it doesn't, so that means you have to understand what the data is about. We're fortunate here, but we have one. So we could look over here and you can see affairs. You can see it's numeric, and it states here how often engaged in extramarital sexual intercourse during the past year. So you can see that it has numbers inside, and for us to understand it, we'll go back to it, and this time we are going to look at the affairs column. And so again, we check out data affairs 1, then we're just going to look at affairs here, so you can see. And we're going to look at the head, and here you can see that if I look at this, you can see I have zeros. So it gives the sense here is that the first 5 rows are values from people who have not engaged in extramarital sexual intercourse in the past year. So you can see that it shows that. But for us to have a sense of what it looks like, we're going to use the tail function. We're going to use the tail function to look at affairs, because again, we want to understand what it looks like. So here is the last 5 rows / observations. So now you can see we have 1 7 2 2 1. So if we come back here, you can see that we have 1. Somebody has had once. Someone has had 4 to 10 times, right? Someone's had monthly, someone's weekly, daily. So now we can see that these features all mean something, but we cannot tell by what we see here, right? So what we're going to do is we are going to change, we're going to look at these values and replace them with strings that refer to what we see over here. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video. We're going to do that. So we're going to have none, once, twice, and all that. So the first thing I will do is I'll create a dictionary. So here we have, you can see, if you don't know what a dictionary is, you can go over to the introduction to Python playlists and you will see what a dictionary is. So I'm going to call this replace. No, so I'm going to say I'm going to create a dictionary, dict for short. Then I'm going to call this replace underscore. What are we replacing? Replace underscore affairs. And what we're going to have here with a curly brace is we're going to have this representation here. So you can see what we have here. This is what we're going to have, right? So I'm going to just copy everything here to this. Now this is going to make up it's going to make up what I have here. So basically I'm going to make this, see that? Just, you can see how we're doing this. We're going to change this so you can see all we're going to have here. So this says 3 times, so 3, and so here we're going to have this. Oh, nearly forgot, we're supposed to make them strings, right? So I'm going to come over here, then I'm going to bring this down here so it looks this way. So you see this 3 times, 7, we're going to make this is 4 to 10 times. So I'm going to put this here. We're going to bring this down here again. We have 12, then this is monthly, and then we're going to put this here. So what we're going to do is that we're just going to replace them because we do not want, we want something that we can understand, right? So the data looks, it's going to look smart when we're done, right? So you can notice here that we have 12 going for monthly, 12 going for weekly, 12 going for daily. So what does that mean? So what it means is we could replace 12, because if we have 12s like this, then they mean a lot. So we could replace 12s with slashes. So I'm thinking we could do weekly slash daily. See that? So that means people here on this area are, you know, cheating on a regular basis. That's so serious. So this is what we have here. So now let's see, once we have done this, we now have a dictionary. So we can print it so that we can see. So we print replace affairs. So we've got this. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to replace them as is. So we first look at df. No, sorry, I just called that df. Okay, yeah, it's data affairs 1. Then we look at affairs. Then we're going to use the unique. We're going to use the unique method to see the unique values we have. So we have 0, 3, let's see, have 12, we have 1, we have 7. So these are the unique values we have. So we're going to replace them. So now what I'm going to do is, so let me call this check-in unique values. And so when I come here, the first thing I'm going to do is I need to replace it. So first, I'm going to take it one step at a time. First, I'm going to call this. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to call affairs. So what I want to do is I want to replace. So I'm going to use the replace method. Right. Now with replace method, I'm going to basically throw in my replace affairs inside. Now, so what replace affairs is going to do is that it's going to replace everything that it's inside affairs. See this? All these unique values are going to change. Now, once I do that, then it happens, but then it's not put into the values we want. So we want it to move it in, create a new column, and that new column has this affairs with these unique features, or with these features all representing the number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this. Again, it's simply a replication, but this time what it means is I'm going to replace whatever it is that we have. So you see what I did there? Created a new column name, but gave it the same name as affairs. And what happens is that once these changes are implemented, it's just going to overwrite what we have here. Right? So let's run this. Oh, you see what happened there? So now if I put data affairs and I check the first 5 rows, remember over here in the first 5 rows we had zeros, so we should have nones now. See that? None. And remember that when we check the last 5 rows we had 1, so this should be ones. We had 7, this should be 4 to 10 times, and 2, like exactly. So here I'll check that using still affairs dot tail. Right, so now we should have something. You can see that 4 to 10 times. So I mean, we have just made those changes to it. So 4-10 times. We could have given it some space, shouldn't we? No, we could have. Let me see. Was it necessary? No, it wasn't. So it's okay. So yeah, so what we have simply done is we have looked at the data itself and we have made some changes to it, right? So we're just going to read this again. We're going to look at this again, and this time we're going to see some changes. So I check the first 5 rows. Aha, so now we're beginning to, so we've converted this to categorical, a categorical data, or again, an object, depending on how we look at it. So if we use the info, you can see now affairs is now an object. Right. So yeah, so this is just an interesting aspect of what you do when you see data for the first time, bearing in mind that you have an idea of what you want to do. So at first we dealt with our ID column. Now we have looked at affairs, and then we've converted affairs from numbers to strings, and the strings now have context, right? So the next thing we're going to do, we'll look at the gender column, but that's in the next video. Right, so take your time, watch this. This is just one step in the activities that data analysts consistently get to do. Right, like, subscribe, share with friends and enemies, learn Python and data analysis one object at a time.